Hello everybody, it's Rachel from the Flint RiverQuarium, and I am standing at our touch tank. It is the first thing you see when you come into our RiverQuarium, and there are several different animals in our tank that call this home. We've got some sea snails, which is like a predatory snail that lives in the water, a really big sea star, some sea urchins, and then one of my favorite things we have in here, it is this little guy, and this is a sea cucumber. So all these animals out in the wild, they would live in a very specific area in the ocean called the Intertidal Zone. Now the Intertidal Zone sounds exactly what it's called. It is that space in between those high and low tides. So it can be a pretty difficult place to live in the intertidal zone because you're constantly having to deal with those changing tides. And with that comes with a constant change of salinity levels and then changing temperatures. And then there's also, it's a very wavy place. There's a lot of wave action and then also moisture levels. So it can be a really rough spot, but if you can figure out how to live in the intertidal zone, it can also be a pretty good spot too, because not a lot of predators like to hang out there, or they can't hang out there all the time because they can only probably get there during high tide and then they have to leave during low tide. So some other animals that we don't have in our touch tank that can be found in the intertidal zone that you're probably a little bit familiar with are our oysters and then our barnacles. So you know those things that you see growing on the sides of docks and boats and everything. So those barnacles love the intertidal zone. They like the rocky bottoms and shores and things. So, but our intertidal zones do have some environmental degradation, most likely due to a lot of people visit the intertidal zone. A lot of people like to collect animals like this, or they like to go out and harvest the oysters or crabs that live there. It's also usually really popular for fishing. And then also environmental habitat destruction. A lot of destruction happens that way. But one really, really big one that can be detrimental is the boats. A lot of boats their paint has copper oxide in it to try and prevent the barnacles from getting on their boat. So you know you don't want those barnacles growing on your boat because they're kind of gross. And then when you try and remove them, it chips your paint and everything. So some people, they get paint that has this copper in it, and the copper prevents the barnacles from growing. But the copper can also be released into the water, and that can affect the fertility of some oysters and mussels and other animals within that zone. So it can be pretty tricky. But that is a little bit of information about our intertidal zone. I hope y'all enjoyed. And I hope you get a chance to come to the Flint RiverQuarium soon and check out our touch tank. Bye.